Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Japanese Tier 4 light tank, the Type 5 Keiho. So, is it any good? Yes, it's a good tank. Quite a good tank. Let's get straight into the review. It has 340 hit points, which is average for a Tier 4 light tank. Now, it's very light at around 11 tons. It is in fact the lightest of the Tier 4 light tanks. Do not ram anybody. You'll come off worse for wear. Now, as far as speed goes, its speed of 50 kilometers an hour is actually a little bit slowish. Tier 4 light tanks tend to be, as a general rule, very fast. Of course, we have to exclude the AMX-40 out of that, the French tank, because that's like a little heavy tank. But generally speaking, they're pretty quick. So 50 is actually slowish for a Tier 5 light tank. That said, the power to weight ratio isn't bad, and it does accelerate quite well and go up hills quite well. So whilst the top speed's a little low, it's not a slow tank. So it does move around pretty well. Now, very interestingly though, this tank does have a traverse speed of 60, which is incredibly good. I can't remember coming across another tank with as fast a traverse as this tank. So I think the next, to put it in perspective, the next closest Tier 4 light tank is the T80, and that has a traverse of 52. So a traverse of 60 is enormous, which means this thing can just spin around very quickly. It's very nimble, very maneuverable, turns very well. And I have had a few situations where I've been circling opponents and they have had trouble hitting me. So that is a good thing about this tank. If someone is shooting at you, I advise you to keep moving and keep weaving, and there's a good chance, or a pretty good chance anyway, they'll miss, simply because you are unexpectedly maneuverable. Now, the turret traverse is a bit of a different thing. The turret traverse isn't actually that good. In fact, other than the AMX-40, which as I said is really like a heavy tank with a light tank gun, it's the slowest turret. So only the AMX-40 has a slower turret traverse. So quite slow for this tank. However, it's not a disaster. It's still okay. And the track traverse, of course, helps make up for that. But it didn't really become a problem for me. It was okay. Now, the view range of 340 meters is average, and the signal range of 550 is also average for a Tier 4 light tank. Camouflage-wise, this tank is it's slightly bigger than the previous tank, but it still has fantastic camouflage. This has the very best camouflage of any Tier 4 light tank, and it maintains its full camouflage whilst moving, so excellent camouflage. Pretty lucky really when you consider this tank is not a scout tank. So a lot of the Tier 4 light tanks also have to do scouting up to Tier, I think it's Tier 8. This tank doesn't, so the highest tank you'll face is a Tier 6 tank. So having such great camouflage on a tank that doesn't even have to be a scout tank is a real bonus. And I did have a couple of games where I was just shooting at people from seemingly fairly close. I didn't have sixth sense, I couldn't tell for sure, but it really didn't look like they could see me. So yeah, great from that point of view. Now, the gun depression on this tank is very good, as we expect from all Japanese tanks. There isn't one Japanese tank that has bad gun depression, except the Chinu Kai, the premium one, has not so good gun depression, but all the others do have, all the regular tanks have great gun depression. This one has 10 degrees of gun depression and 20 degrees of elevation, so it's very good in that respect too. Can be used as a hill fighter, but the armor is trash, so you really need to pop over, shoot, and then pop back if you're going to do that. Best thing to do with this tank is really just hide behind bushes and pump the shots out, and if someone starts getting close, just take off and go somewhere else. That's about really all I need to say about this tank, other than to go in a tank inspector and have a look. The other thing that I do want to mention though is we have been comparing, since I started doing the light tanks, comparing, is it better to go through all the light tanks or go through the medium tanks? Which is the better way to go if I want to get up to eventually Tier 10 or whatever? Well, I think I said in the Tier 2 tanks, the light tank was definitely the better tank. In the Tier 3 tanks, I thought that it was a bit of a decision between the light tank was the better tank, But the medium tank had a punchier gun, and you would be able to fight better at a higher tiers with the medium tank, but you would be much better at, say, the tier 3 with the light tank. In this tier, it's a little bit more clear cut. I think the light tank is the better tank, and so overall, I would say if you're looking, I would go the light tank way until tier 4, and then tier 5 it merges, and you end up with the medium tanks anyway. But I would definitely probably avoid the medium tanks. I think one of the things too with the mediums is that when you go medium tank, you kind of expect your armor to be okay, and it wasn't. It was just a disaster. So there's no real advantage to it being a bigger, heavier tank. It doesn't have really better armor, although it's a little bit of a... At this particular tier 4, the medium tank actually does have a little bit of armor and will bounce some pesky sort of lighter tanks with poor pen or from very long range shots, but that's about it. It's not that great. So in comparison with the Chihei, which is the tier 4 medium of the Japanese, they have the same gun. So there's no advantage to having the medium tank. Exactly the same gun. They have the same view range and the same signal range. So once again, no advantage to being a medium tank there. The only advantages you have in the medium tank is it has better armor. Like I said, it will bounce a few sort of pesky light tanks maybe at range. And it has actually better gun depression. It has 15 degrees of gun depression, which is fantastic. So those are the two benefits it has. Better armor and a better gun depression. But this tank, when you think of it, it's faster, has a much better traverse speed, sensational traverse, has a better turret traverse, even though turret traverse isn't great, it's terrible in the Chihei. And it has better camouflage, it has 25% better camouflage. And not only that, the medium tank loses some of its camouflage when it starts moving. So this tank has 25% better camouflage when it's stationary and 50% better camouflage when it's moving. So really, to me, it's pretty clear cut. This is the choice. So if I had my time over again and I just wanted to get to tier 10 as quick as possible, with the least pain as possible, I would have gone the light tank line. Alright, let's get into the tank inspect, have a look at the armor. Then I think I've got a tier 6 game for you to show you how it works at tier 6. I'm back again because I forgot to show you the grind for this tank, so let's have a quick look. It was pretty quick for me because I already owned some of these modules. You don't need to upgrade the turret, it's just really the gun. The gun you start with is the same gun you had before. It's quite a respectable gun, 81 pen, 70 damage. It's a very good gun. And really, the up top gun is not that much of an upgrade. You need it to get to the Chi Nu anyway. But it goes to 25 rate of fire, so it's exactly the same rate of fire for the two guns. This one has 87 penetration and 75 damage versus 81 penetration, 70 damage. It's not that much better, really. Has the same accuracy at 0.42, which is not great accuracy. It's okay. And has an aiming time of 2.3, which is not too bad, but the earlier gun, the Type 1 here, has an aim time of 2.1. It's a faster aim time. So there is an argument for, say, sticking with this 47mm Type 1 gun, because you've got a better aiming time, and since you haven't got armor, you really don't want to stay out in front of your opponents for very long. You want to be as quick as possible. Go, pop out, shoot, pop back. And the quicker aiming time allows you to do that a little bit better, or pop over a hill and pop back. But you're sacrificing 6mm of penetration and 5 hit points damage. It's not a lot, but you know, it's up to you which one you pick. I ended up sticking with the 57mm, but they're both good guns, and they do operate quite well at higher tiers as well. Now the radios, yeah, you want to get the top radio. Signal's important in a light tank if you're doing spotting. You don't have to upgrade the engine, which is another bonus. And the tracks, I think I had to upgrade the tracks actually before I could upgrade anything anyway, because it was pretty much maxed out on weight. Alright, into Tank Inspector we go. Alright, so a quick look at the armor of the Type 5 Keiho in Tank Inspector. Straight to the colorized view, and we can see that the lower plate here is 20mm of armor, as is the upper section in front of the driver here is 20mm, and the front of the turret is also 20mm, and the cupola is also 20mm. So that's not going to stop anything. It'd be flat out stopping a tier 1 tank. The upper plate here is only 12mm thick. I'll have a look at the front of the turret. The front of the turret, the mantlet area here is 30mm, as is the well, actually the pink section here is less, it's 20mm. which same as the rest of the turret armour. So it's just this band around the manlet area that is 10mm thicker. On the side of the tank we have 16mm and 16mm on the rear side of the turret as well, and of course that's the same 20mm the front side of the turret. Rear of the tank is 12mm thick. On the top it's also 12mm. So a very poorly armoured tank. No point talking about weak spots because the whole tank is a weak spot. Alright, let's get into the gameplay.
Move out.
Okay, the map is Westfield. It's a tier 6 match and I'm in my tier 4 KO. So we take off, as you see. It's not a slow tank, gets around pretty well. Even though it is slow for a tier 4 light tank, it's not really that slow, and it does accelerate well. Now, as I said, tier 6 game, so the enemy team has 4 tier 6 tanks, some very nasty ones like KV-1S and those sort of tanks which could easily one-shot kill us. Also have KV-1s and there's a bunch of tier 5 tanks there as well, so as well as tier 5 artillery, so we need to be pretty careful in this game. Moving up to a bush I like to spot from, although I'm not too sure whether my view range at tier 4 is going to be good enough for me to spot from this bush, but I just see that there is a spotted enemy tank across the ridge, a T-14.
We didn't even scratch them.
Let's see if we can get some hits in. We bounced, the first shot bounced off.
That one didn't go through.
Now that's actually not bad accuracy when you're considering it's about 450 meters away. Now also my crew is about 78% trained, so obviously the reload time, aiming time and accuracy are going to all be better with a fully trained crew. So I'm just throwing shots out there hoping I'm hitting it and get lucky and actually penetrate it, but while I was doing that I wasn't watching here closely enough and some tanks have snuck through.
Penetration.
So 423 meters, and we penetrated that.
Enemy armor is hit.
Was it a T-80? What is it? Oh, I can't even read it. It's moving too fast. Anyway, we hit it. It's a T-50, I think. All right. It doesn't look like we've been spotted yet. Gee, that cricket noise is good. I keep looking outside. I think there's crickets out there, but it's the computer game. Alright, so I was just wanting to see if there was a rush on. There doesn't appear to be a rush. I decided to move a bit further forward. I know there's a tank down in the valley there somewhere. I figure if I get to this bush I might be able to spot it. Oh, we can see a Matilda, and he's gone again. Darn it. Not sure if I can penetrate a Matilda with this gun anyway. Here he is, T-50.
Penetration.
We get a nice hit in there, and oh, if he just stayed a little bit longer we could have finished him off. Let's see if we can pen the Matilda.
We didn't penetrate their armor. Ricochet.
It would be asking a bit much. Very difficult.
We didn't even scratch them.
Back to this T-14.
That one didn't go through. We didn't even scratch them.
Oh, there's a T-28 coming up. This is much more important. Now,
Enemy armor
he's
is
turned
hit.
his gun towards us, but I don't think he can see us.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Which is 173 meters, and we're firing. I know we're in a bush, but that's good camouflage to be able to do that. I'm glad he couldn't see us because his gun is very dangerous. Chinu, tier 6,
Armor is hit.
with terrible armor. T-28 has pretty bad armor as well, so we're kind of lucky we're getting tanks. The ones that are coming close to us don't have great armor. Now I could go over the hill and try and shoot that Matilda in the back, but I don't really want to alert the Matilda to my presence because if it decides to go me, I'm the goner. Oh, we finally penetrated this guy.
Critical hit.
Critical. Tracked him. Did he? No, I don't know. He's got to have used up all his repair kits, this guy, by now. As you can see, unaimed, the accuracy is not real good. Oh, okay, I've been hit. Oh, I was asleep at the wheel. The T-50 snuck up at me.
Armour is destroyed.
Now, I'm really proud of myself there. Okay, I didn't see the T-50 coming, but I'm proud of the fact that when I got hit, I didn't keep shooting the other tank. I straight away said, okay, I'm getting hit, I've got to move, and I did something about it. I didn't just stay there and keep trying to hit the other tank. So I'm very proud of myself for doing that. Didn't get the old tunnel vision. Well, I did a little bit, I suppose, or I would have seen him a bit sooner. But anyway. So now I'm coming up here. What I'm trying to do is spot this Matilda. I think if I spot this Matilda, everyone else can shoot at it, because I see a few people around here, but I can't see the Matilda anywhere. So now I'm starting to think my teammates must have nailed that Matilda while I was dealing with that T-50. So I note there's an SU-100 up here. Looks like the T-49's trying to get him, so I figured I'll go up and try and help with that. He's got a hit into it, which is good. Oh! It does a massive hit on him. And he's not looking well. He's running away at a rapid rate of knots. So alright, I figure time to use this camouflage. I'm going to go right across and see if I can spot this guy from the bushes. My idea here is not to... I'm not that fussed about shooting the guy. I just want to spot him so that my teammates can kill him. As you see, the game's getting pretty serious. We've got 5 tanks left. They have 4 tanks left, so it's a bit of a close game. Now, considering it's a tier 6 game, I think we've done really well in our tier 4 tank so far. So if I die now, I'll still think, well, still believe I've had a pretty good game, but I don't want to die now. So it looks like I've got a couple of guys there hiding in bushes who are ready to shoot. They've seen me moving, and they're waiting for me to spot this guy. So that fills me with confidence. I'm glad I've got teammates who actually know what they're doing, which is pretty rare these days. So that's great. So they're ready to help. So I'm trying to... see, I thought he might have been behind this rock, so I'm driving right up to the rocks to see if I get an auto spot without actually exposing myself to him. But that hasn't happened. So I'm not really sure where he's gone now. I thought he was going to be around about here. This is where he was last spotted, was just in front of me here. And I'm pretty much on top of where he was last spotted now. So he's moved back. I thought he might have just hunkered down and taken cover. He might be just over this ridge. Maybe he's using a ridge for... Ah, okay, there he is. Well, he's side on, so I figure I'm going to take a shot. That second one was never going in, but now I can back off down the hill and use my maneuverability to come up somewhere completely different. So artillery's had a go at him, so it looks like it's paying off. The other guys can't hit him because of the ridge. And now for something completely different. That worked well. He wasn't ready for me. He thought I was going to come over that hill. Oh, one more hit and he's gone. Oh, it bounced. Oh, no. I foolishly thought he was turning the back of his tank towards me, but it was the front of his tank. I don't know why I thought it was the back. I could have moved. Such is life. So it was a good game, I thought, for a tier 4 tank, light tank in a tier 6 game. We actually managed to get our class 1 mastery badge in that game too, which is really good. And you can see there we bothered quite a few tanks. Let's have a look at the next screen. So we ended up coming second for experience, which I'm rapt about that. And we were probably a little down the list on damage. Actually, you know what? We might have actually even come third for damage, which is pretty amazing. Although the Jagdpanzer 4 on our team did a hell of a lot of damage for that tier. So it was a good game. Let's have a look at the next screen. And we can see we fired 48 shots, of which 29 were direct hits, which is normally you'd say that's not great, but it was a pretty long range, and with the crew not trained, I think with a trained crew that would improve quite a lot. So I'm quite happy with the performance of that gun. And as you can see, it pumps out the shots. So of 29 shots that were direct hits, 18 of them penetrated, which is a little bit disappointing. But it was a tier 6 game, and a lot of those long range shots, yeah, look, it's fair enough that they bounce. Fair enough, really. For, you know, it's only a light tank anyway. So let's say we received 2 shots, both penetrated, which of course this armor's not going to stop anything. Now we spotted 1, we damaged 6 tanks and destroyed 2. I reckon that's really good. And we also did just 101 points of spotting damage. And you can see here 26,000 is a good income. Not very expensive still, even at tier 4, the ammo and repairs. And we made really good profit. So very profitable tank. And we earned 749 raw experience, and that was enough for first class. So I'm guessing probably about 800, 850 would be mastery for this tank. Okay, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching my review of the Type 5 Koho. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. It makes me feel good. And yeah, if you wish to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun. Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook, and this is my review of the Tier 4 Japanese light tank, the